Hey everybody, Cathy McLeish back here again to talk about alcoholism. And I am a sober alcoholic. I still call myself an alcoholic because, like a diabetic, it is a lifelong journey. And so I got sober at 27. I've been sober 38 years now, just had an anniversary. And that would mean I'm 65. You probably will never hear me say that again. But yeah, I've been in recovery for 38 years, and that means I've walked a walk with people helping me, and I myself trying to help other people to understand what's going on with the disease of alcoholism. And that is people that are struggling with it, and you may be a person who is struggling with it because someone you love is struggling with alcoholism. So here's what I want to talk about today. What is going on? What is going on with a person in their last years of drinking that they cannot stop? And this was something, I have to tell you, honestly, I did not learn until I was on the other side. So if anyone is listening, if they think that they have a problem, if you can digest what I'm going to tell you today, then you will be a winner. You will be a person who can make a decision about your drinking with the knowledge of what is actually going on, because it's a very puzzling thing. So I'm an alcoholic and I'm drinking at 27. It doesn't matter what age I'm at. Maybe I'm 40, maybe I'm 55, but drinking has become a problem. I'm trying to stop and I cannot stop, and I continue to take my life down just another notch. A day at a time, a month at a time, a year at a time. People are starting to move away from me. People are arguing with me. I think I'm right. I think they're actually the reason that I drink. And so what is going on? What is the truth about my drinking that I cannot see? So this is what I learned. I have a disease. You can believe that or not. I have a disease, and alcoholism is something that I have that a lot of people who drink do not have it. Now, you can have a spouse sitting across the table, drink for drink, or drinking differently than you, and they react totally different. When I put alcohol into my body, I set off a craving, an allergy. It's like this physical makeup that I have. Whether I had it when I was born, I don't know. Whether I crossed the line when I kept drinking and drinking and drinking, I don't know. I don't know that I have to have all the answers to have a better life. I mean, if I stay there and have all these questions and you have to answer them before I get a better life, I will never get that life. I need to hear that. I will never get that life, because I've been working with in groups of alcoholics for almost 40 years, and I don't have those answers. If I had them, I would give them to you, but I do not have those answers. So I want to say that when I put alcohol in my system, I react differently. One of the things that happens is I can't really tell you what I'm gonna do. If I'm gonna stop, how many I'm gonna drink. I might tell you, but I can't stick to it. I'll tell you, I only have 2 this time. Don't worry, I'm gonna stop at 10. Not 10 drinks, 10 o'clock. I might give you all kinds of promises, but I can't guarantee anymore that I can keep them. The other thing is, when I take the first drink, something happens and I have to have another drink, and then I have to have another drink. And then after a while, the drink has gone into my bloodstream, it's traveled up into my brain, and my brain isn't making the same choices it would have made before I started drinking. So I'm off and running, and it continues to happen. And that is one of the reasons that I can be trying to stop. I can try to dial back my drinking, and it is not working for me anymore. So if you can relate to any of that, this is one of the things that I didn't understand. And so my body was not helping me to get sober. My body had a different reaction to alcohol than most people. I wanted that not to be the case, but that was not the case with this person. And so I tried to fix it with my mind. I tried to control it. I tried to work it out. I tried to think about what happened the last time and do something different this next time. I would drink with somebody different. I would drink a different type of alcohol. I would go to a different place. I wouldn't go anywhere. I would stay at home. I would think that I could change my people, places, things, then I wouldn't have the same outcome. And I often didn't have the same outcome. Sometimes, most times, it would be worse. So whatever I tried to do to manipulate the outcome of my drinking, it never worked. And it was so baffling, because I thought, He was my problem. I'm staying away from him. She is my problem. She drinks so much that I can't go out with her. So thing after thing, person after person, I try to control the circumstances of my drinking, and yet I cannot stop drinking. So I have this body that isn't helping me with my drinking, and I have this mind that thinks it can fix it, and that is not working either. I can maybe stop for 3 days. I don't think I have a problem. I stop for 3 days. How about I try and stop for a week? I stop for a week. I don't have a problem. I stop for a week. Let's not think about how hard it was for me to stop for a week. I may be a binge drinker. I may only drink every other month or once every 3 weeks. But when I do, I can't control how much I'm going to drink. I can't control what's going to happen or where I'm going to end up. I still have that same problem. So my mind keeps making excuses for why I can try one more time, because as a practicing alcoholic, I never really wanted to quit. I never really wanted to quit. Alcohol was my solution to the problems I had no solution to. And so they just kept piling up. Because when you have a little problem and you don't do anything about it, let's just say, take out the trash, slow down on your money and how much you're spending, whatever it is, if you don't change any of those habits, the problem gets bigger and uglier, and it grows roots. And it's a bigger task to try and take it out of your life. So I'm drinking and I have these problems, and they start to multiply and they get bigger like yeast in dough. And so alcohol becomes even more necessary because my problems are not being attended to. And so my life is getting just a little darker, just a little more complicated. And I'm starting to have some consequences to what I'm doing and what I'm not doing. So as a practicing alcoholic, I have this body that isn't helping me. I have this mind that isn't doing me any favors either, because it's always telling me if I do something different, I'll have a different outcome. And there is an expression, and it says, it's the definition of insanity. If nothing changes, nothing changes. Trying the same things over and over again and expecting different results, that is insanity. And so what I was practicing was crazy. It was just crazy. A lot of people could step back and say, even I can step back today and say, that was crazy. And I did it for years. And other people were trying to tell me, and I was so sure that they were wrong. So if this rings true at all, you know what? It might seem like, you drew the short straw, but really, if you get into recovery, if you put down that drink, the sooner the better. Because I was somebody that recovered young, and I had my whole life ahead of me. And I had done a lot of damage to a lot of people and to myself physically. But I had a lot of time to turn that around with the proper resources and the proper tools. I have walked the walk with people who have come in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s, and they still are very glad that they did, because life changes, and it changes for the better. So I've got a body that isn't helping me. I got a mind that isn't doing me any favors. And what do I need? What do I need? I need something bigger than Cathy. I need something outside of myself to give me direction that I do not have. I need something more powerful. You'll hear people say, I need something greater than me to help me get out of this hole that I'm in. Now, if you've got some kind of a problem with spiritual journeys, it does not have to be that. All it has to be is somebody who has walked the walk that you've walked and come out on the other side with a new solution. That's all I needed. That's all I needed to find. And you know what? You can find it with a phone call. Most people sitting around know somebody who has recovered, or they can ask some people, their doctor, a therapist. We go to therapists, we don't tell them the truth, and we wonder why they can't help us change our life. Same thing with my doctor. I went to my doctor. I asked him for help. I asked him for help my way. One time I even asked him to put me on antabuse. And he asked me why. He asked me if I had a drinking problem. I said, no, I've got a spouse who has a really bad drinking problem. And I figured if I went on antabuse and I stopped drinking, that maybe he would either stop or slow down. Now, that's the mind that will not help me to get on the other side of my alcoholic drinking, because that made perfect sense to me. And yet, when I was 1 year into sobriety and I went back and talked to that doctor at length, I could see the crazy thinking that I had at that time when I was in the middle of my heavy alcoholic drinking. So my body's not going to help me. My mind is not going to help me. What is going to help me is being just this humble, being just this willing to surrender and ask somebody for help. And it is the hardest thing, one of the hardest things I've ever done. And yet, on the other side, it was the most powerful thing that I ever did. And once I did it, the other things that I had to do grew this momentum and they became easier and easier. And what was beautiful about that is that they chunked away at that pile of problems, problem after problem. I got solution after solution, and this pile went down, and my self-esteem went up, my self-worth, my ability to relate to other people, to show up, to be the person I was intended to be, all of that grew while this shrunk. And that's what happened for me in sobriety. And you don't have to do it my way. You don't have to do it his way. You can do it whatever way you find. But the solution is out there. And if you've listened to the end of this video, you now know there is a solution. Your body is working against you. Your mind is working against you. And the best bet that we have to stop that and get started living the life that we were intended to live is to surrender and to just pick up the phone, talk to that person, ask that relative what they were trying to tell you when you didn't want to listen, and see if you can't get some help. So, Cathy McLeish, I'm talking about alcoholism, just trying to break that stigma that it's ugly, it's unsurmountable, because it isn't. It isn't. We have a problem and there is a solution. So, make that step to find yours today. Thanks.